Hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure on behalf of ISWA to be here during this afternoon with you in Glasgow, live from COP26, to bring this topic about open burning of waste and the health impacts and climate impacts. It's the first time that this topic is included on the agenda of such a high-level forum. And this is due to the efforts from ISWA together with several partners like Engineering X, an international collaboration founded by the UK Royal Academy of Engineering and Lloyd's Register Foundation, UN Habitat and the Waste-Wise Cities Program, Climate and Clean Air Coalition and its Waste Hub, WasteAid, IGES, Emory University, and the Regional Institute of Health, Medicine and Research, represented here by Dr. Vijay Sharma, who is with me today here in the studio from Glasgow. It's important to know that climate change is the biggest challenge we are facing nowadays. And there is some estimates that despite waste contributes only with 2 or 3% of the total global greenhouse gases emissions, if we adopt sound waste management systems such as stopping open burning, stopping dumping, collecting landfill gas from landfills, and diverting biodegradable waste from landfills, the waste sector and resource management sector can contribute to 5 to 10% of the total avoidance of greenhouse gases emissions. And if we move from end-of-pipe solutions towards improved and advanced waste management systems such as waste prevention, recycling, composting, and energy from waste technologies, we can add up to more 5 to 10%. So the waste and resource management sector holds a unique position as a relevant contributor towards the mitigation of greenhouse gases emissions, leading to up to 20% of the global greenhouse gases emissions mitigation. So here we are today, and it's my great pleasure to introduce all our speakers who are joining us here from the studio or either online to give the message that we really need to take action now. It's urgent and it's directly needed by all of us. So now to give an opening message together with us, I would like to introduce Professor William Powry from Engineering X of the Royal Academy of Engineering.
Hello, I'm William Powry, Professor of Engineering at the University of Southampton and a Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering. I'm speaking to you today as a board member for Engineering X, an international collaboration established by the Academy and Lloyd's Register Foundation, which brings together experts from around the world to engineer change. I'd like to thank ISWA and its president Carlos Silva Fido for leading the event and for partnering with Engineering X, and also our many colleagues on the journey so far, including Dr. Kostas Velis of the University of Leeds, who led the global review that first drew our attention to this issue of open burning. We're very pleased that open burning is on the COP26 agenda, being discussed at this high-level forum for the first time. For millennia, humanity has used and relied on fire. The ability to control fire, to cook and keep warm, is one of the keystones of civilization. But the open burning of all sorts of solid waste that takes place around the world is a serious issue, particularly as the characteristics of the waste burned have changed and the quantities of waste increased as our patterns of consumption and production have grown and continued to become ever more unsustainable. Open burning of waste has severe adverse health impacts for waste workers and for local communities. Further, it's estimated that open burning of waste produces between 2 and 10% of global CO2 equivalent emissions. Its impact on anthropogenic climate change could be twice that of aviation, but it attracts only a fraction of the global attention or finance. The true magnitude of the problem is unknown, owing to a lack of data. This will be discussed later by fellow speakers. Understanding why people, businesses and governments burn waste that produce toxic smoke and fumes is important if we're to develop holistic solutions to the problem. Burning is a way to reduce the mass and volume of waste, and also to avoid odours from decomposing materials. This may be important for billions of people living in countries where waste collection and disposal systems are poor or completely absent. Burning medical waste can avoid the risk of infection, although it also releases dioxins. Informal e-waste recyclers use burning as a way of extracting precious metals from cables. Some people burn waste for warmth and cooking, as it's the only fuel they have. And these are some of the topics that we will explore in this session. Thank you for listening and for your interest in this important and often overlooked subject. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the session, and if you feel motivated to join us in our mission to address the uncontrolled open burning of waste, please do get in touch.
Thank you, Professor Parry, and for your kind words during this opening session, and thanks for the partnership with Engineering X towards stopping open burning and improving waste management worldwide. Now, I have the honor to give the floor to Dr. Vijay Sharma, the director and founder of Regional Institute of Health Medicine and Research. Dr. Sharma, it's a pleasure to have you here with us and as a partner of this side event.
Thank you, Mr. Carlos, for the kind introduction. Mr. Carlos has very well explained the topic, the solid waste burning, which has been first time put in COP26 as a side event. Though RIHMR is working for the last 11 years for health impact of climate change and pollution, apart from other public health issues. So, and in the last couple of COP meetings, we have done our presentation and side events. Now it is a great opportunity for me to work with ISWA for this solid waste burning side event. So my topic given to me is health impact of open waste burning. We know what is open burning. It is the burning of the garbage by the barrels, open pits, outdoor furnaces, wood stoves and fireplaces. Even harmless material like paper, cardboard, yard waste and construction debris can produce toxic gases, toxic material and hazardous mixture of cancer-causing compound. Household waste materials are burnt away from the incinerator or furnace chambers, and the lack of chimney or stack predisposes to more air pollution, and that leads to inhalation of the smoke in a closed environment, leads to great damage to lungs and whole body. There are various kinds of toxins produced by the smoke, like dioxin, furans, arsenic, mercury, lead, carbon monoxide, nitrogen material, sulfur dioxides, and hydrochloric acid. These are all toxic material for body, which enters body by different forms and leads to various kind of damage, which I will discuss further. More than 90% of our intake of dioxin and furan is from our diet. And dioxin causes cancer, liver problem, impairment of the immune system, damage to the reproductive system, endocrine system, and various kind of endocrine disorders. And it also has effect on the development of the nervous system and other developmental event in body, like in pregnant ladies. So people are having more and more kind of reproductive problems, endocrine problem, immune problems, and they don't know about it, that it is a toxic material produced by waste burning and environmental pollutants, and they are having more illness, more health impact on the health of the society, more cost of the healthcare, and leading to significant social and economic costs. This open burning leads to damage to environment. By smoke irritates the environment, adverse climate changes are experienced by it, smoke obscures the visibility. Mercury is released, which enters soils, air, and water. Nitrogen oxide is activated and increased in air. Burning of tire leads to dioxin and furan production in large amount. There is risk of fire, production of smoke, which is a big problem in northern part of India in these days. Lots of particulate matter enters the environment, and harmful effect on the ozone layer is observed. What are the causes of open burning? Professor discussed about some causes of open burning. Some people want to have an easy waste disposal. They don't want to go to the proper place. Some people are doing rituals, some kind of campfires. There is no lack of proper education regarding the waste disposal, waste burning, and waste regarding the hazard of the waste burning. Some people don't want to get rid of waste in the proper means, so they just burn it. There are various kind of public health effect of the air pollution because of waste burning, as well as in general pollution. Especially in South Asia and Southeast Asia, there is lots of illness because of waste burning, like cardiac problem, lung problems, cancers, asthma, emphysema, and other problems. Burning of plastic is very dangerous to our health in the form of damage starting from the nervous system to endocrine system, reproductive system, lung, heart, kidney, liver problems, skin problems, and reproductive problems, as I discussed earlier. And these toxic materials damage the DNA that leads to development of cancer and long-term effect on the immune system. The special effect and most common problem with the pollution is respiratory problem like emphysema, lung cancer, asthma, nasal and throat problem. Bioaccumulation and toxicity in humans is produced by toxic material entering the plants, entering the soil, entering the food material, and then the grass and the plants are eaten by animals and goes in animal fat, and then later on it is consumed by humans. And that food is leads to toxin material going in all the organ system and long-term damage to the body. The toxin drains into the large water bodies, and these water resources have lots of toxic material, and people are ingesting it if it is not purified properly. That leads to long-term effect on the development of the body of the children, in pregnant ladies, as well as in adult and old people. There are various kind of carcinogenic elements in our food produced by these pollution and toxic waste. Lead is most important. It is very carcinogenic. There are various kind of cardiovascular disease. We know that the risk of cardiac stress, myocardial infarction, stroke has increased over the last couple of years because of pollution, because of toxins presence in our air. And when they were locked down, the air was very clean in India, in a couple of countries, and the risk of cardiac disease and stroke decreased in those months when there was lockdown because of clean air in those months. Methane is another important gas which is highly carcinogenic and toxic to the body and cardiovascular system. Stubble burning is a big problem in developing countries, and as well as in India. In northern India, there is stubble burning. In Punjab and Haryana and other UP, part of UP, western UP. And in the months of October, November, and sometime up to December, there is lots of smoke, pollution, and health impact of stubble burning. And it has significant economical and social impact on the lives of people. This kind of paddy crop burning leads to smoke and soot particles in the air, soil erosion and hardening, killing of beneficial microorganisms in soil, nutrient and mineral loss in the soil, and leads to pollution, as we know about it, and human health problem. So we have to go for the safer ways, as discussed by Mr. Carlos. We have to reduce the waste disposal. We have to avoid using disposable item. We have to buy product in large amount, durable products, and they can be recharged, repaired, or refilled. We have to reuse the products. They should be reusable and recycled. Recycling is very important for the decrease in waste burning as well as for overall environmental safety. Composting is another important thing to be done, and it was very well explained by Mr. Carlos. Lastly, the disposal of the garbage has to be proper, and it has to be done in the proper way as advised by the authorities. Thank you for your kind listening.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. It's very interesting, this presentation that gives us a clear picture of all the negative impacts coming from the open burning of waste, and not only from the open burning of waste simply, but also when you have open burning in dump sites in different places of the world, because we know that the most updated data shows us that almost 3 billion people in the world lack of a sound waste disposal system. And when all this waste, and it's an increasing amount, goes to inadequate places, it's also a case of open burning with all the effects, and this is rarely understood by the people. And your presentation gave us this clear picture, and I hope that we can really spread the message to stop this inadequate situation. Thank you very much.
You're right, sir.
And now it's my pleasure to move on the program, and here I would like to give the floor to Dr. Prekumara, Director of IGES Center, collaborating with UNEP on environmental technologies from IGES, Japan. Please.
Hi everyone, I am Kumara from the IGES Center collaborating with UNEP on environmental technologies, CCAC. We work with national and local governments in improving waste management and resource efficiency. It is my great pleasure to join online today to discuss this important topic with you. I would like to share a few words about the challenges in making city action plans to address open burning in developing cities based on our experiences in working with Battambang municipality in Cambodia. Battambang municipality is the capital of Battambang province, a leading rice-producing province located west of Cambodia. With a population about 200,000, Battambang municipality is the third largest city of the country. It is one of the commercial hubs and popular tourist destinations. Like many other municipalities in the country, Battambang municipality faces a range of challenges in providing solid waste management, especially due to the lack of infrastructure, no consistent annual budget allocation, lack of human resources, poor awareness and capacities in waste management service. Due to the deficiencies in solid waste management in the city, open waste burning is a common way of disposing of waste. In general, levels of PM2.5 pollution in Cambodia are 2 to 3 times higher than the WHO recommended levels. Also, nearly 11,000 Cambodians die prematurely from air pollution-related illness each year. Open burning happens every step of municipal solid waste management, including residual burning at waste generation stage, waste burning at recycling or intermediate treatment level by informal waste collectors or recyclers, and these burnings may be landfill fires or dump site burning by landfill operators. Solid waste burning releases a variety of toxic air pollutants, example black carbon, carbon dioxide, that have been associated with severe cases of cardiorespiratory disease and cancers among waste pickers and residents of nearby communities. Despite this, awareness at all levels and sectors of waste management is low, and policies and systems to address it are poor and weak in developing cities. Measurement methods and available data are insufficient for local governments to estimate impact, and as a consequence, cities are failing to address the issue through their waste management strategies and plans. Therefore, as a first step, a sample survey was conducted to understand the open burning in the Battambang city with the city staff covering all 10 administrative districts. Target groups included all sectors such as household, market, school, temples, restaurants, shops, and others. Sample sizes were decided based on the scientific manner. District chiefs were also interviewed to see the overall picture of the waste management in their respective administrative areas. The survey results identify that each target group burned waste a few times a week, in average 1 to 2 times. In total, about 64 tons per month or 2.1 tons per day. This is 2% of total waste generated in the city are burned. The major component of burn waste included plastic, food waste, branches, and paper, which are low valued for informal collectors to gather. Looking at the regional distribution, more open burning hotspots were found in districts where municipal waste collection service has not yet received. As a consequence, citizens manage their waste in these areas by burning or dispose in open areas, waterways, or in their backyard as feasible. During the survey, the interviewees provided various opinions on how to stop open burning. 60% of them mentioned the importance of improvement of waste collection service. Another 24% of them highlighted the need of behavior change of all residents. As a result, Action Plan identified 3 priority actions. First, introduce some policies, regulation, and enforcement to ban open burning with fine system, and introduce separated waste collection at source. Second, strengthen the community-based waste management system with recycling, composting, community waste collection. Third, education and awareness program targeting school education. In summary, this example of open burning mitigation in Patamba municipality shows that waste management are low-hanging fruit for cities to start tackling air pollution emissions, reduction, and climate mitigation. Open burning should be addressed as an integrated part of municipal solid waste management in the city, and its need to secure a strong political commitment and support to implement proposed policies and actions. This is all of my presentation today. I hope that we can work together in addressing open burning issue from local to global level. If you need any further information on this case study or any other work of CCT, please kindly contact me. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Dr. Prekumara. It's very interesting to see that usually open burning is a result of several failures during the whole waste management system. But if we really tackle the different topics and the different levels with a good governance scheme and with a good political support, we can move forward and improve the waste management in the city. So congratulations for this case study from Cambodia, and I really look forward for further cooperation. Now I will hand over to Dr. Johannes Paul. He is the Vice Chair of the ISWA Working Group on Climate Change and Waste Management, and will give us some views from this technical point, this technical group of our association. Dr. Johannes Paul, please.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good day to all of you. I would like to proceed in our event with a topic talking about open burning of waste with focus on the climate impacts. My name is Johannes Paul. I'm talking today on behalf of the International Solid Waste Association as the acting vice chair of the ISWA Working Group with Climate Change and Waste Management. First slide, please. Why do we have the phenomenon of waste burning? What are the dimensions and how relevant is it for climate change? Here are some impressions from a developing country context. In the global south, you see waste burning in residential lots. You see even burning in waste bins. You see it along roads and on dump sites. So why does it happen? On the residential level, you could say people want to get rid of materials, and if there's no waste collection service provided, or the service is late or irregular, people tend to help themselves because they are bothered by waste. It looks ugly, it smells badly, there are many insects coming in, there are cockroaches, rats, there may be dogs and cats. You can even see goats and cows feeding on the waste. So I'm bothered by it. On the dump sites, there may be several reasons. First, dump sites may burn spontaneously, especially on hot summer days in the tropical countries, because there's methane emissions from the waste. And if it starts to burn, there's so much fuel in the waste materials, like woody components, packages, paper, cartons, plastics. It's difficult to get out. Other reasons are the waste pickers who sometimes burn to get access to metals by cable burning, electronic waste burning. But there are also waste burning on dump sites to free land for more waste disposal or to treat special or medical waste so that animals have no access and human beings to such waste. Next, please. So what are the dimensions? We may agree it's a wrong habit, it's very destructive, that we know. We know it's uncontrolled at low temperatures, it has many impacts for health, environment and climate. The dimension to quantity, according to the World Bank, at the moment we have 2 billion tons domestic type waste on the planet. 20 years ago it was 1 billion. And if we don't provide the needed interventions, we may even have 3.4 billion tons in 2050. And the problem here is that at present, around 40% of all this waste is burned in an uncontrolled manner. Majority with 600 million tons at residence level and around 200 million tons at the dump sites. Next, please. Here you see two maps. Wiedenmeyer et al. Have modeled the waste burning on the planet. On the upper part A is burning on residential level, the lower part B on dump site level. You see similar pictures with focus on Asia, China, India, Indonesia, Russia, but also in Brazil or South America. These are the countries which are emerging economies. That's where the problem gets bigger. So other countries may follow later. Next, please. Here are some more details, which I will explain. We don't want to start with the numbers first. In general, we lose by waste burning around 800 million tons resources every year. If you think about that, means 8 billion in 10 years. This is a dimension of coal burning per year at the present. But 50% of what is burned is renewable carbon, which we need for our climate mitigation measures and for reaching climate neutrality. At the same time, we face resource scarcity. We cannot afford to burn it. I provide a photo here on the top. You see ice and snow covered by black color. This is particulate matter, black carbon. What does it do? In the lower part, you see the Earth's surface, the North Pole here, white color, ice and snow cover, and then you see the continents and oceans. So if sun energy, or sun radiation comes to the Earth, then 46% are either absorbed or directly reflected in the atmosphere. 54% reach the Earth. From that, 15% reach the ice caps. And there, the white color has the so-called triggers the albedo effect, which means 85% of radiation is reflected back to space, whereas the black color absorbs all the energy. And this is what happens now. Albedo effect gets reduced and the Earth warms. That's the second effect. The black carbon itself, the particles heat because they collect all the sun energy. There are other impacts which I list here in a table. Waste burning responsible for additional 2% of carbon dioxide emissions. There's also carbon monoxide forming, other volatile organic matter forms. But the major impact is from particulate matter. We have two fractions, PM10, PM2.5, and black carbon. And these three are very relevant, and you see that waste burning is responsible for 25% on the planet of contribution of particulate matter. In the middle part, you see red numbers. GWP stands for global warming potential. If you calculate that for 100 years, you see carbon dioxide has a factor 1. Other components are higher. Methane has 28%. Black carbon for the 100-year period, a much higher factor, 910 times as strong as carbon dioxide to warm the Earth's atmosphere. Methane is indirectly related to waste burning. If we change the surface of the dump site by burning, in the end, that may increase also methane emissions. Methane itself is also another task we have in waste disposal enhancement because it has also a strong portion and influence of the climate. Next, please. Yeah, some more words on the black carbon. We know it comes from incomplete combustion of fossil fuels, coal, waste and biomass. It is an aerosol and not a gas. It remains in the atmosphere only some days to weeks before deposition. It may not be the same in the regions. In Asia, it's maybe more burning from solid fuels and from waste and from agriculture. In Europe, America, more from transportation, diesel, for example. It is a short-lived climate pollutant, same as methane, and much stronger than carbon dioxide in its impact on the climate. And if you only calculate it for a short term, for 10 years, it would be 4,300 times stronger than carbon dioxide on the climate. Next, please. I summarize this here. In the picture, you see it's not only waste burning. We also have other activities, transportation, diesel burning, fuels, emissions from the industrial sector, also agriculture and forest burning. And that relates to the gray picture in the middle. We cover white surfaces, as I explained. In the pie diagram, you see the contribution and the task we have. Dark green, domestic and residential burning, also from cook stoves, but also from waste burning, and the same for open burning, together more than 60%. So this gives a strong task for the waste industry, for the waste sector to act and to contribute that this will be lessen this problem. This brings me to my last slide. If you think about the way forward, the challenges we face if we want to help to avoid this problem. First of all, black carbon is not yet reported under the IPCC framework, but we should definitely integrate it in our climate action, climate planet, and our NDCs, in the national determined contributions for every country. But for that, we would need method and guidance, how to gather the data and how to design the mitigation actions. From my perspective, a very relevant and strong option for ambition raising and for reaching climate neutrality as contribution of the waste sector. If it comes to the waste burning at household level, we definitely have to address increasing waste collection efficiency and segregation enhancement. With that, we can reduce waste burning. In parallel, we would have more resources available for producing secondary raw materials, and for a circular economy effect, we could even lessen greenhouse gas emissions in other sectors, for example, in the mining sector, or for transporting primary raw materials on a global scale. To increase waste recovery, yes, we may agree we need know-how, additional investment, and we also need incentives so that waste segregation can be improved on a global scale, and that we have more capacities, more additional treatment plants for recovering materials, for example, by producing renewable fuels or by running biomass power plants, or to support farming activities and soil enhancement with natural materials like compost or biochar. Definitely, waste burning needs to be prohibited by law in every country. Most countries have said, but implementation is low. But if you would only address to cover the dump sites with suited materials, for instance, with bioreactive soil covers, this would help that we reduce waste burning on the dump site itself, just by the fact that the waste is covered. But this kind of cover could also reduce methane emissions from dump sites by natural processes, a further potential opportunity by the waste sector to be part of climate mitigation to reach neutrality. So this brings me to the end of my talk. Many thanks for your attention.
Thank you, Johannes. Thank you for this explanation that shows us that financial support, financial resources from both government and private sources is fundamental for us to move forward, because we need to invest in best practices in order to stop this inadequate waste burning and dumping, and also we need to run the costs of these adequate practices. So here is our pledge that governments and business sectors really drive some attention to this issue, and together with this attention, which is urgent, as we've seen, it's an issue that kills people every day with premature deaths mostly in vulnerable regions, we need all the support and investments to turn this page. Now, it's my great pleasure to give the floor to Zoe Lenkiewicz, Senior Technical Advisor and Head of Communications at WasteAid. Please.
Only half of the world's waste is managed safely. The rest, almost 1 billion tons every year, is causing a health and climate catastrophe. 1 in 3 people has no waste management, and without it, the choices are stark. Do I dump or do I burn? Half the collected waste ends up at dump sites, where fires smoulder and fill the air with a cocktail of toxic compounds, black carbon and greenhouse gases. In developing countries, somebody dies every 30 seconds from illnesses caused by open dumping and burning. WasteAid is working globally with partners to turn this tide, to turn a cost into an opportunity and build a fairer and greener recycling sector. The value of waste management is huge. It protects the air we breathe, the food we eat, and the environment we rely on. Importantly, it prevents significant climate emissions and builds climate resilience. WasteAid is calling for waste management to be financed as a health and climate priority. By COP27, there will be another 1 billion tons of waste to manage. Waste management is climate action.
Hello, I'm Zoe Lenkiewicz, Senior Technical Advisor and Head of Communications at WasteAid. WasteAid is an international, non-governmental organisation. We work with communities and policymakers in lower and middle-income countries to implement waste management and recycling programmes. The vast majority of people in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia do not have a regular waste collection and disposal service, leaving them no alternative other than to dump or burn their waste. Open burning of waste generates significant climate emissions and poses a serious threat to people's health, including heart disease, cancers, and respiratory illnesses. The health impacts on children growing up in places without waste management are severe. Pollutants caused by open burning prevent children's bodies from developing properly, exacerbating the impacts of poor nutrition and leading to educational underachievement. At WasteAid, we believe that everyone deserves to grow up in a healthy environment. A simple and affordable waste management system can significantly improve health outcomes, provide livelihoods in recycling, and prevent marine plastic pollution and a wide range of climate emissions. In fact, waste management is fundamental to delivering the Sustainable Development Goals. Waste management cannot be delivered in isolation. That's why WasteAid partners with a wide range of stakeholders, from government, the business sector, and communities. We develop local capacity and promote grassroots innovation. Since 2015, WasteAid has been working in the Gambia, West Africa, to support the development of waste management services. One of our partners, Kanifing Municipal Council, has made great progress in eliminating open burning. It's my pleasure now to introduce Mayor Talib Bensouda.
So when we came into office in 2018, we had a huge waste management problem in the municipality, or lack thereof. There was no waste management capacity. We had no collection vehicles. So naturally, people would burn waste as a way to get rid of it. And all over the place was smoke or fires. And of course, the health hazards that come with waste burning are plentiful. There was a lot of people with cancer, a lot of people with a lot of anomalies, and of course, breathing became a problem, and it creates a huge mess within our municipality. So we had the ambitious plan of coming up with a 25-truck collection system or collection network, and we charged a minimal fee as a way to get it sustainable. a fee as small as 20 cents per collection. And we're glad to say now in our municipality, we're collecting over 500 tons of waste a day. Now, we have also seen the effect, and it's very positive. Our waste burning has reduced because there's less waste on the street. And of course, with the collection system, we have also seen impacts in other areas, such as malaria cases have gone down because we have less waste blocking water streams and keeping water stagnant.
Once waste is collected, the next step is to find ways to turn waste materials into useful products, so that instead of being a cost to society, it can add value. WasteAid has delivered a UK aid-funded project in the Gambia to find ways to valorise flexible plastics and create new products. We have also recently launched a project in partnership with Canifing Municipal Council on a Global Climate Change Alliance Plus initiative funded by the European Union. Currently, food waste from the city's markets is disposed of at a central dump site where it attracts vermin and can release methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Through this project, we will collect food waste from the markets and transfer it instead to the local women's gardens where most of the crops are grown. Here, a community-based partner will train the farmers to make compost, helping protect soils and building climate resilience. Our message for COP is that waste management can significantly reduce climate emissions and build climate resilience. Currently, there is no internationally agreed way to estimate the impacts of poorly managed waste on the climate. This needs to change so that governments can include waste management in their nationally determined contributions and attract climate finance to bring an end to the open burning of waste. Waste management is climate action.
Thank you, Zoe. It's very interesting to see, and I'm very happy to see the success of this project in Gambia, and this is something that should be replicated in different parts of the world, mostly in Africa, aiming at COP27. We are looking forward to be supporting such initiatives and commitments because, as we've seen already today, waste management and resource management sector holds a unique position as a net saver of greenhouse gases emissions and also as a saver of lives, as we've seen the negative impacts of inadequate solutions. Now, it's my pleasure to hand over to Sandra Mazonix, coordinator of the Climate and Clean Air Coalition's Waste Hub.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Mazonix, and I'm the coordinator of the Waste Hub of the Climate and Clean Air Coalition. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to address you. Today, I'm going to talk about the Climate and Clean Air Coalition and our work to advocate for the prevention of open burning of waste. Also, I'll talk to you a little bit about the Waste Hub and what is the status of waste in the NDCs and what actions our countries are taking to address open burning of waste. So the Climate and Clean Air Coalition is a global voluntary partnership dedicated to addressing geographical climate pollutants, and I'll talk more about this in the following slide. And basically, we have a network of over 400 members, including governments, IGES, financial institutions, and civil society organizations. It includes 73 countries, 78 international organizations, more than 100 cities, the private sector, and it is hosted by UN Environment in Paris. The countries that we work with and our partners, they are working to take fast action to reduce short-lived climate pollutants, obtaining quick results, and at the same time obtaining multiple benefits. The measures that are proposed by the coalitions are science-based solutions. So because we have a science advisory panel that makes sure that everything is according to the science, and also we promote the leadership and awareness of these issues. So what are short-lived climate pollutants? They're basically four: black carbon, methane, tropospheric ozone, and HFCs. And these are all powerful climate forces, and many are dangerous air pollutants. They are the largest contributors to global warming after carbon dioxide. They are responsible for up to 45% of global warming, contributing to the 7 million annual premature deaths from air pollution and cause of 110 million tons of crop losses each year. Because they're present in the atmosphere for a much shorter period of time than carbon dioxide, they can be removed from the atmosphere much more quickly. This presents an opportunity not only for quick, coordinated action to address global warming, but also to achieve immediate benefits for development and human health. This is a map of where of the countries that we work in. You can see them in orange, and also the blue countries are basically where we actually have also have some projects. We carry activities around the world with the objective to increase knowledge, resources, and technical institutional capacity to act, mobilize support for action at all levels of government, the private sector, and civil society, increase the availability of and access to financial resources to support implementation at scale, enhance scientific knowledge to help decision makers scale up action and promote multiple benefits of action. In the waste sector, the Climate and Clean Air Coalition works to reduce these emissions by providing a comprehensive package of resources, technical capacity building, and working with a global network of cities to facilitate the design and implementation of locally appropriate actions. There are two short-lived climate pollutants from the waste sector, and this is basically methane and black carbon. And methane is generated from the decomposition of organic waste in anaerobic conditions. That could be from open dumps or landfills. And then black carbon is produced from burning of waste and also from the use of outdated and polluting vehicles in the transportation of waste. We focus on methane because landfills are basically the third source of anthropogenic methane emissions. And then we focus on black carbon because it is a key component of particulate matter, and particulate matter PM 2.5, and then it also contributes to air pollution. The Waste Hub has 4 areas of focus with basically organic waste diversion, because we want to minimize the organic waste that is being sent to landfills to reduce the methane generation and to avoid significant costs that are incurred by developing or expanding landfills to accommodate excess waste. And then we also work on landfill capture and use, because landfill capture prevents methane from entering the atmosphere and contributing to local smoke and global climate change. Also, we work on the prevention of open burning of waste, because we want to find alternatives to open burning to reduce black carbon emission and to prevent the release of cancer-causing compounds and other toxic substances. So what is the status of waste in the NDCs? As you can see in this slide, there are 98 NDCs that actually consider waste, but only 16 of them actually consider them a focus area. So where they're going to prioritize and highlight this. This is very telling of what are the prioritization of waste in their NDCs. As regarding the mitigation measures that are actually shown in the NDCs, only 59 parties actually put mitigation measures, and the other ones don't specify anything. When we look at the NDCs and try to see which ones actually name open burning of waste or just open burning, we find that only 42 of them actually, you can find this. And then sometimes open burning could refer just to open burning of medical waste or healthcare waste, or also agricultural waste. So this doesn't really tell us. So you have to dig in. But so when you dig in, you will find that there are some countries that have examples of ambitions, for example, Belize and Albania, which actually have a timeline for decreasing the open burning of waste. And you can see that one in Albania, they actually have a proportion of the quantity of waste that's going to be burned. And then for there are other countries like Eswatini, Iraq, Togo, São Tomé, and Príncipe, which actually also mention open burning of waste, but then it's more vague as what they're going to do. Then you have other countries like Marshall Islands, Liberia, and Nepal. In the case of Marshall Islands, they just kind of say that they're going to incinerate waste instead of just letting it burn uncontrollably, and then Liberia and Nepal have they want to decrease the open burning of waste, but of healthcare waste. And then Liberia also mentions they want to decrease, they want to prevent landfill fires, which is also a cause of black carbon. But when we look at the SDG 11.6, we see that there are actually some countries that actually have that as part of one of the measures. So there's 37 of them. So that is good news, because basically when you provide a collection of waste, that actually helps reduce the open burning of waste. Some examples of countries that are taken, you can see here in Africa, some of the relevant waste policies have measures. And then some of the plans that are created through the CCAC, what are called short-lived climate plans, also integrate the reduction of open burning of waste. And then in Asia, we have the same thing. Some countries have it in their waste laws, and others have it in their short-lived climate pollutant plan. And then also this also is considered in some of the inventories that are done for under CCAC. Okay, well, that is it for now. The time is very short. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, here's my email address, and I'll be happy to answer any questions via email. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra. It's very good to see that many countries are taking the commitment to stop open burning, to stop open dumping of waste, to improve the waste management system with like a stepped approach. But also in one of your slides we see how far we still are from a good coverage of countries that consider waste management, adequate waste management, as a focus area on their NDCs. And here it's important to highlight that ISWA for many years now is advocating that sound waste management is a basic human right. We need to consider sound waste management as part of the universal rights, and we had recently, in early October, a very strong decision, a very strong resolution by the United Nations Human Rights Council, just enforcing that the right to a healthy and clean environment is a universal right. And here we need to really take waste management as a key to achieve a healthy and clean environment. So, moving into our program, now I have the honor to give the floor to Dr. Desta Mebratu, Waste Lead of the United Nations High-Level Champions, and Dr. Adriana Mibandi from Engineering X. Please.
Hello everyone, my name is Eri Saikawa and I'm an Associate Professor of Environmental Sciences at Emory University, and I direct the program called Emory Climate Talks. I usually take students to the COP every year, but this time we decided against doing so because of COVID and sent activists and alumni instead. It is such an honor for me to be able to join this session remotely to present the work that I published in 2020 with many co-authors listed here and funded by the National Science Foundation. As I am sure you are all aware, air pollution adversely impacts human health. This infographic, taken from the WHO, or the World Health Organization, estimates that 7 million people die prematurely every year due to air pollution. There is a large uncertainty in terms of the number of premature mortality, but the WHO estimates that 19% of these deaths are due to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD. What is important about these premature deaths is that they are not distributed equally in the world. This map shows the air quality rankings from Yale Environmental Performance Index. The higher ranking or cleaner air quality countries are shown in darker colors. The opposite is the case with the lighter colors, and these represent worse air quality. You can notice that there are many light-colored countries in Africa and in Asia. This graph, also taken from Yale Environmental Performance Index, shows the air quality score distribution regionally. In this case, the lower the air quality score, the worse the air quality. Southern Asia is the worst here, with a median value of 18.9, compared to the Global West, with a median value of 86.3. India, Nepal, and Pakistan, all in Southern Asia, are ranked as the worst in the world among the 180 countries with respect to air quality in this index. Air pollution comes from many sources, but here our focus is on outdoor air pollution and especially on waste management. This picture, taken by Arniko Pandey in Nepal, really explains well what happens to the waste when there is a lack of management. These small open garbage burning is a scene you can encounter every day in some parts of the world. I believe WasteAid and others were the first to grid these emissions estimates from open waste burning globally. Their work took emission factors from the past studies in Mexico and in the United States. And so the purpose of our project was to understand the potential impact of garbage burning in regional air quality in South Asia using more local emission factors. In this study, we created 3 different emission scenarios from open garbage burning in South Asia. Here, I'm showing emissions estimates for India for 3 pollutants: carbon monoxide, CO, fine particulate matter, PM2.5, and organic carbon, OC, which is a component of PM2.5. The one you see on the left-hand side is not our emissions estimate, but is the one by Sharma et al., published in 2019. Their study is the most recent garbage burning emissions estimates for India and is shown here for comparison purposes. The first of our 3 scenarios, which we called baseline, is not shown here because in that scenario, we did not include any garbage burning emissions. For scenario 2, we included the garbage burning emissions from Wiedemeyer et al. And for scenario 3, we wanted to make use of the most recent local emission factors taken from the Nepal Ambient Monitoring and Source Testing Experiment Namaste campaign, and we quantified emissions at each grid point on the map using these emission factors and the amount of garbage burnt at that specific grid point. I am not going into details, but these are the emission factors we used for the 2 scenarios in our study and comparing them again to those by Sharma et al. For scenario 3, we tried to estimate the highest possible emissions from garbage burning and how they might impact regional air quality. In the Namaste Field campaign, there was a very large variability in emission factors for PM2.5, OC, and etc. And so the maximum values were found in fires where garbage was dumped. This is why we used emission factors for these dump garbage burning for scenario 3 in this study. To understand the impact of these emissions on the regional air quality, we used the weather research and forecasting model called WRF-Chem version 3.5. More details can be found in the paper if anybody is interested, but by using the local emission factors that we measured at the Namaste campaign, we were able to assess the extreme emissions events that we found from garbage burning and quantify how they affect regional air quality. So these are model simulated carbon monoxide, CO, PM2.5, and OC concentrations on the left-hand side for each of the scenarios. On the right-hand side are the differences in concentrations between scenarios 2 and baseline and between scenarios 2 and 3. You can see that PM and OC concentrations increase substantially in scenario 3 compared to scenario 2, as we increased OC emissions, including wet garbage burning in scenario 3 from the dump garbage led to an increase of nearly 30% for PM2.5 in India and Nepal. I mentioned the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, was one of the adverse health impacts due to air pollution when I was explaining earlier. We quantified the premature mortality from COPD due to open garbage burning. The methodologies are in the paper, But we found that open garbage burning that are dry, as in the case for scenario 2, result in approximately 6,000 cases annually in India and Nepal. These numbers increased significantly to nearly 300,000 cases when we consider the upper end emissions with dump garbage burning estimates. As you would remember, there are other health endpoints such as pneumonia, stroke, and lung cancer due to exposure to air pollution. So if we were to include these other diseases, the premature mortality cases would have increased as well. So to conclude, our paper sheds a new light on this important and yet often neglected problem of open garbage burning, and we argue that it is especially important to consider in the global south, given the low air quality as shown earlier, and also due to the prevalence of open garbage burning. Our results show that open garbage burning could increase PM2.5 concentrations by nearly 30% in India and Nepal, and could result in nearly 300,000 premature deaths due only to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease if we assume that these are dumped garbage. These results illustrate the importance of better understanding emissions and their impacts on air quality because there are policy implications with these results. And of course, garbage burning results in carbon dioxide emissions and air pollution like PM2.5 and ozone also impact the Earth's energy balance as well. That means that they affect climate change. And more work is therefore essential on air pollution climate health nexus. Thank you so much for listening, and please feel free to be in touch with me via email and Twitter with any questions you might have.
Thank you, Professor Eri Saikawa from Emory University, and apologies for my mistake in introducing yourself before your speech, and congratulations for your research. It's very important that we realize the real impacts of open burning with scientific-based evidences, so it's really how we can move forward and show with reliable data how urgent this topic is. Now it's right at this time. I'd like to continue, giving the floor to Dr. Desta Mebratu, Waste Lead of the United Nations High-Level Champion, and Dr. Adriana Bandi from Engineering Next. Please.
My greetings to all. My name is Desta Mebratu. I'm a professor at Stellenbosch University in South Africa and Addis Ababa University in Ethiopia. I'm joining this session as a UN High-Level Champion lead on open burning of waste, together with my colleague, Dr. Adriana Mbandi, who is the deputy lead of this initiative. We're happy to join this session. I'm sure you have received significant information from the previous presentations on the challenges related to open burning, but Dr. Adriana Mbadi will give you the regional context of how open burning is having different impacts in the African context. We are leading an initiative on open burning, UN High-Level Champions Initiative on Open Burning, which is supported by Engineering X program of the Royal Academy of Engineering in partnership with the Lloyds Foundation. The open burning issue is an issue that is in front of us, affecting millions of lives, besides its significant impact on our contribution to the climate change problem. While we are presenting it as a problem, the issue of waste has also its own opportunities. And our task under this initiative is, number one, to understand the scope of the problem, have concrete science-supported data on where we are when it comes to open dumping and open burning of waste in Africa. And number two, inform policy decision makers, stakeholders on the scope of the problem and the opportunities we could have from effective management of waste and avoidance of open burning in the African context. Our goal is to carry out a series of activities, including stakeholders engagement, background studies, from leading to COP27, so that by the time we meet at COP27, we have concrete, actionable agenda that will be supported by African countries and development partners at large. With this introduction, I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Dr. Adriana Mbadi, to give us the context of the problem within the African region.
Hello, my name is Adriana Mbadi. I'm part of the High-Level Climate Champions team. I'm a Deputy Waste Lead. I would like to give you a snapshot of the challenges and opportunities for open waste burning in Africa. And in doing so, make a case for integrated climate and clean air actions to manage open waste burning in Africa. Now consider open burning of waste in the context of that we generate big amounts of organic waste, plastic waste, electronic waste, as well as construction debris that form parts of the waste, as well as medical waste. Now, a lot of these waste streams are not segregated. That means solid, liquid, industrial, medical waste sometimes is mixed. Now, 90% of the waste generated in Africa most likely ends up in dump sites and landfills. In fact, burning is often the only way to manage the waste that is generated. And as a result, it is no surprise that 19 out of 50 biggest waste dumps are actually in Africa. Recycling is actually emerging as a common practice, but there's not such a big uptake. Only about 4% of the waste is recycled. So this offers an opportunity, especially as we begin to focus on bioeconomy. Climate and clean air, in considering open waste burning, it's important to look at it as both a climate and an air pollution challenge in Africa. Now, consider that due to changing consumer behavior in Africa, we have increasing plastic consumption and marine plastic litter. Now, often this ends up being dumped in our oceans, in our rivers, in our streets, and it causes a big nuisance. But it's not only a nuisance. Current waste management practices is responsible for economic, social, and environmental impacts. The cost of inaction is significant. It means that when we have inaction, there's a possibility of soil, water, and air pollution. This causes severe social, economic, and environmental impact in addition to impact on human health. It means that lives are being lost, people are getting sick, there's loss of productivity for work, there's school kids getting sick. We have mostly ignored gender disparities and issues of environmental injustice where open waste burning is concerned. This exacerbates inequalities, especially for communities living in close proximity to waste dumps and relying on economic activities around waste. Now, if we look at open waste burning in terms of climate and air pollution emissions, we can understand that open waste burning produces air pollutants, but it also produces short-lived climate pollutants as well as long-lived greenhouse gases. And as a result, it is impacting directly on human health, it is impacting on vegetation and crop yield, and also contributing towards climate emissions. But responding to open burning in solid waste management, we can actually look at already existing solutions and case studies in Africa. I present to you that there are 16 countries in Africa that have considered plastic use ban. A good example is Rwanda back in 2005, and in Kenya more recently in 2017. Both countries have actually banned to a larger extent single-use plastic bags and other plastic uses. In doing so, we are ensuring that this plastic waste does not end up in open dump sites where it ends up being banned. In being banned, it produces very toxic emissions. Another case I would like to present to you is a scrap tire recycling. Scrap tires are often used, they're often recycled, and they're recycled to recover, they're burnt actually to recover steel, and especially largely in informal settlements and in informal trade. But this kind of practice is a mainstay of communities living around the margins of the society. Now, in reducing tire burning and exploring options in which way they can be recycled safely, it ensures these societies are not exposed to those emissions that come from burning tires. But I also present to you that there is use of emerging technologies and innovation. There have been community-driven initiatives that are promoted, and those need to actually be promoted so they can attract investment and upskill from communities to a larger level that is more impactful. Many countries in Africa, many communities have been mainstreaming circular economies at the city and national, considering city and national strategies, and these are also included in planning and implementation. Many African countries have recognized the challenge of electronic waste and other forms of electronic and technology dumping, and in doing so, they are actually starting to curb the challenge that we have from electronic waste, and especially when it is banned. But a large part of informal waste management in Africa, and where it ends up being banned, is actually informality. This means that if we are to tackle open waste burning, we have to ensure that we deal with a special aspect of informality and bring along the informal sector with us. But I would like to actually conclude this presentation by actually giving you 4 pillars that we consider in terms of dealing with the challenge of open waste burning. The first pillar is actually we need to create and generate evidence of the quantity of waste that ends up being burned, how and when, and also find out what are the trends, find out where the hotspots are for open waste burning, and this evidence then should underpin policy. That brings me to my second pillar, which is governance. We need to ensure that there's a policy framework, not only that is formulated, but also implemented, and implemented in such a way that is not implemented in silos, which tends to happen a lot in environmental governance. And then we would also like to propose that capacity is a very important pillar in dealing with open waste burning, creating capacity opportunities to enhance both as ways of training, education, outreach to the various key stakeholders that are quite important in dealing with open waste burning. And at the heart of the 4 pillars is to ensure that there's a community of practice, or at least enhance the communities of practice that already exist around waste and open waste burning, but also to ensure that all this is centered around a knowledge share platform where countries are able to share information on the best practices on curbing the practice of open waste burning. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adriana. As I have indicated earlier, we have a significant opportunity to address this issue in a more integrated manner, in such a way that it can benefit African countries and reduce the potential impact or contribution to climate change. Dealing with open burning issue has an economic, environmental, and social dimension that will have significant contribution on countries' efforts to make the transition to a more sustainable economies and societies. In that context, we would like to call upon all partners and stakeholders to take concrete action on this growing problem. And it will be growing because Africa is one of the fastest urbanizing region in the world. And with urbanization, together with lack of the necessary infrastructure for waste management, the issue of open dumping and the related open burning problem will become more significant, having major impact on societies and communities. So this is the time to take the necessary action in such a way that countries will benefit from an effective management of waste. Most of the studies conducted in African urban centers have shown that about 70% of the waste that is generated in African urban centers is more of organic degradable waste. About 10 to 15% is recyclable. And we can imagine how much potential we have in terms of waste to resource conversion and generating more values, so economic and social values besides the environmental dividend we could have from an effective waste management and avoidance of open burning. And we hope that this initiative will catalyze more concrete and consolidated action in dealing with the issue of open burning and in dealing with the broad issue of waste management in Africa in general. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Desta. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you to all our partners and speakers who have joined today. For those who watched us online, and here is the strong message we take with us to COP27 to stop open burning, to stop open dumping, and ensure sound waste management as a human universal right. Thank you very much.